Camera's up.
2 seconds. Just going to play the X-Files now.
You going to go right into it?
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
I'm not, but
Daily Defense, because they don't want me to. That's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. From the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. It is a Monday here in the CZ Studios. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. We're on the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Mike here at the ranch. Welcome in today. We are live on Facebook. If you choose to watch the program, you can watch us at facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And Greg and Dallas Tejas, we are back.
yes, we are. Here we are.
We are back. We are back. Yesterday, Greg and I said when we spoke yesterday afternoon, I'll see you soon. I'll see you too soon. And now it's too soon because here it is upon us, Greg, right? Wow, what a weird...
Absolutely.
Yesterday's show, a lot of work went into that show yesterday for
Oh, my
Monster
gosh.
Cast.
People have no idea how much work went into that show.
We're going to have some fun with that, but we're going to bring Andy in just a second to talk about that because he gets radio himself. So I want to get his thoughts on this because it was not a cluster, nothing major. It was just ironic and funny. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And those of you who are listening and pay careful attention will know what we're talking about. Many of you may have caught that. I thought it was interesting, and I kind of laughed about it a little bit. Greg and I were texting each other on the phone during the program last night because it was pre-taped as I was at the GOA convention in Knoxville all weekend. But, Greg, I'll let you tell people where else they can watch us and participate in the chat, should they choose to do so, and then we'll get cracking with some fun stuff with Andy Hoosier to start a week off.
Yeah, other places you can watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over at X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, and then select your watch live or listen live option. To join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
So, yesterday, got back from Knoxville, mid-afternoon, I guess is fair to say. And, Greg, I made a big mistake when I was taping. I will never do that again.
I don't blame you.
I had great interviews. We met with some great folks that were there on the floor. But I just let the tape roll, and I didn't tape to the timed segments. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, I want you to come in here and jump in on this because you'll get this. So welcome in, Andy. How you doing today, brother?
Man, living the dream. Happy Monday, brother.
Yeah, happy Monday. It's better than a Sunday, I can tell you that much. I've never worked so hard doing this. What we did, when I was taping yesterday or Saturday, I let the tape just go because the interviews were so good. One of the interviews with Andy Markel from Attorneys on Retainer was outstanding. So I didn't stop the tape on the time segments, Greg, and then continue. I just let it rip. So it was like a 22-minute segment. Well, we don't have any 22-minute segments. So I said, when I get home, I'll just edit that audio. And then I'll just send it to Greg. Editing that 22-minute segment took 2 hours.
Yeah, as Andy knows, you're listening for stuff that's not important to leave in, and then you're also cutting out breaths and stutters and stammers and all that stuff.
And trying to make them fit the time slots at the exact time slot. You have to be, we had 10 minutes and 13 seconds to talk in the first hour, in the first segment of the Monster Cast show. And, well, that, we got that okay. I think we ran up against one hard break quick. That was the only time that happened, Andy. But, yeah. And then what do you do as the host? You cut a lot of you out, right, to let the guest in, and a lot of the jibber-jabber. And we had to do that for seven segments. And then I realized, well, we're one segment short to complete the hour.
Yep.
What are we going to do there? Because we were running an encore for the third hour in the program, Andy. So I said, well, let's get Paul Markel on, and let's tape Paul Markel. I couldn't get the Bluetooth to work on the board.
Yeah, you promised a segment with Paul every week, so there you go.
Yeah, and it worked, except it took another hour longer than it should have because none of the Bluetooth was working on the boards here. So everything needed to be completely rebooted and reset, which took another 45 minutes. And I think, Greg, it was about 7:30 Eastern time before I was completely done.
Yeah.
Let's just say I had to use the bathroom so bad my teeth were floating. I walked in the studio after a 3-hour drive and never left it. And I thought, good heavens, I could have done 3 live shows in the time it took to put this thing together.
Yep.
But and then when I went to listen to see how it sounded, Andy, and the intro to the show on the Sunday Monstercast was the Daily Show intro.
Yeah.
Greg,
Mislabeled.
I'll let you explain that one. So, guys, if you were
Gosh.
listening last night, you heard the intro to the Daily Show for the first 2 hours. So the whole thing was crazy. Greg just sent me a text with one of the 7 words I can't use on radio last night, and we were just cracking up. But it was a never-ending saga. But it was fun, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Andy, you know how it is when you listen to an interview and you're cleaning it up because that's not important. Well, Mark had to do all that, but when I'm having to replace all the show opens for every hour, and then all the show closes for every hour, and then every single break had to be replaced. But not only do they have to be replaced, they're not the same spots every break. And so then you've got to go build breaks or steal breaks from other shows in order to copy and paste, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And
so
Gotta love radio, man.
And this
radio,
wasn't the show.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's cry
that is the
us a
behind the
river.
scenes.
Cry us all a river, right? Because listeners don't care. They just want to listen to the show. Guys, I'm just telling you, a tremendous amount of work went into that. And I just thought to myself, good heavens. You better off tell Greg, throw it all away. Let's just go live, man. Do it that way for him. I'll tell everybody what everybody said, But it was crazy. But
and that's what we love. I mean, this is the radio industry part of it that we like. And you're right. I mean, the listeners, they just hear the end of product content, that comes out over the airwaves at the end of the day. And that's what the beauty of it is. But yeah, it takes sometimes, especially if you are traveling and you have to pre-load up stuff where you're getting great content, great interviews to trim it up and make sure it times out right, but not miss any of the content. Yeah. It's very difficult to do sometimes, but yeah, the beauty of radio, man. That's what it's all about.
I swear one day I'm going to grab myself and a couple of other guys from out of the knock, and I'm going to get Andy to jump in with us also. And we're going to start doing what is called the Board Op Cast, so that we could talk about all the show hosts and all the stuff behind the scenes and just running radio in general,
And the knock, by the way, see, we're talking radio inside baseball lingo. That's Network Operations Center. And that's the knock at Salem. And it's actually very cool. Andy, you've never been there, but it looks like a spaceship.
I can send Andy a picture. I might have a picture I can post in the chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea what goes on to the production of the shows. You have no idea what happens because it is network radio. We're on, stations all over the country. And that whole command center that sits behind Greg, behind the glass, is really cool. And it's really fun to go to Dallas and actually do the show there and see it all happen as all of those computer banks are busting out all the shows around the country. Including this one while we're sitting there live. It's a lot of fun to watch. And anyway, that's enough of the inside baseball stuff. Greg, can you please give us some X-Files music?
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay, because Andy's here on a Monday. Andy.
Now we're talking.
You're right. Harvard professors are now saying that there is what appears to be an intelligent alien probe entering our solar system for only the first time in recorded history that we know of, that NASA has classified as a comet, except comets have glowing tails behind them. This probe is about 2 or 3 times the length of Manhattan. It is moving on a trajectory that is almost statistically impossible were it not being intelligently controlled because of the flybys it's getting ready to do. And the glow is out ahead of this device. And I said device intentionally, ladies and gentlemen. And there is now evidence that some of the physicists are talking about that this appears to be from some form of intelligence on a probe mission into our solar system. Andy, take it away, brother.
Man, I have been following this for a while. I am super excited. I am excited. Now there are two ways you can approach this one here. I will go with the less boring one, or I guess the more boring one for just a moment. The more realistic one, which is they say even though it's traveling in an odd place and it's traveling in an odd manner and the lights are in front of it instead of behind it, so it's not a comet sort of thing. The fact that it's traveling at a particular rate, and we can guesstimate when it's supposed to be here, which I think is supposed to be like November, I think.
November,
is that right?
Yeah.
November of this
November.
year? Yeah. So if that's the case, I still find it very strange how something like that could travel the way that it is in such a straight line trajectory if it's traveling through space-time and the entire universe. I would think that would be a little bit quicker, or it would just be one of those where it just appears near us and then disappears. You go back to like Star Wars where you hit the
30.
the thruster and then it shoots off and you just disappear. So I still don't know that it's actually an alien spaceship, although I am very hopeful and encouraging, and I will really, really, really hope that it is, because that would be super exciting. There is, and I know you got to take a break here, there is a rumor and a theory that has been laid out about a year ago that there were hostile ETs on the way and that we needed to prepare ourselves for that. And that was a couple of years ago warning us about it. So maybe it could be them.
Yeah, okay. And you're excited about hostile ETs coming here.
Bring it, baby. Let's do it.
A level of intelligence so great that it is clearly billions of years ahead of us and could wipe us out in the blink of an eye. But Andy's excited. We'll be right back. More with Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, KQA and Wichita's Big Talker. Back on the flip side, guys. Don't go away.
American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show. And I want a warm, heartfelt thank you to Patriot Mobile, to Stephen and the whole crew over there, to Scott Coburn. I spent the entire day on Saturday at the Patriot Mobile booth doing interviews that were coming and going throughout the day. I didn't get to near the people I wanted to. I was really looking forward to getting over to see Tim over at 2A Bourbon. He's going to be on the program with us next week, by the way. I felt so bad. I just couldn't get to everybody. There's just not enough time. Greg was driving me nuts that it was so busy. Yeah, but that's a good thing, not a bad thing. So I want to thank Patriot Mobile. We were there the whole time. Patriot Mobile, ladies and gentlemen, this company's the real deal. If you missed the show, the podcast went up earlier today because of all the work we had to do. It was just time to go night-night last night after the program. But nonetheless, patriotmobile.com/AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR. This is a company that shows up at gun rights conventions and donates and supports them. Isn't that who you want to give your money to? It's who I want to give my money to. That's why I've shifted a couple phones and working on a few more. They're doing it piecemeal. They've got programs for you. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR to take advantage of that. Welcome back. And I got to tell you guys, a lot of fun in Knoxville, and we're going to get back to that in just a few minutes because there are some concerning discussions that I had with Cam Edwards on Cam and Company today. Follow up. I want to talk with Andy about that too. But Andy, I got to go back to the UFO stuff here for just a minute. Welcome back in, Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, here goes the music again. So during the break, Greg and I are talking about, is it real? Should we care about this stuff? What does this have to do with guns? Well, it has everything to do with guns, quite frankly. If, in fact, it's real, can you imagine the technology that's on board something like that? Right. That could be, billions of years ahead of us, billions, almost impossible for the human mind to comprehend, what they've done or could possibly do. So, hey, I just got done watching the movie The Fifth Wave last week. I don't know if you've ever seen it. But I love shows like that. The apocalyptic end of the world, UFOs, people coming to take over, or whatever you call them. So, yeah, I think it's fascinating to talk about when you consider the fact that, Andy, there's billions and billions and trillions and trillions and trillions the human mind can't even comprehend. Does the universe end? Is there a wall on the side at the end of it somewhere? If there is, what's on the other side of that? It's fascinating, and physicists now are talking about this in ways they've never spoken about before. And if you don't think the federal government is serious about this stuff, you must have forgotten that we have a search for extraterrestrial intelligence system that sends out radio signals and receives radio signals in search for this. We send probes out with stuff on it that have now moved into interstellar space, Andy, so they do take this stuff serious, and it is fun to talk about. It really is fun to talk about.
Well, it's fun to talk about, but it is really serious, and I think that it's needed more. Honestly, we talk about size of government, the role of government, what we're supposed to be doing. This is one of the few areas where I deviate away and say that government should be investing more time, money, and attention into these sorts of things and trying to understand the world around us. I don't know if you heard, there was actually a new photo that was taken, and I don't know if it was from the new telescope, like that Hubble telescope or whatever that is. Yeah, it's the new one that's up there from a couple years ago, that they took a picture of a galaxy that actually stretches, and it looks like almost a long hot dog in the sky. It stretches 60 million light years from one end to the other, and they took a photo and they found what looked like almost like neurons, like if you take a scan of your brain, the neurons that go from your pathways in your brain. It was that exact same type of picture of hydrogen that was going from one end of this galaxy to another. And they said that they captured for the first time the fabric of what holds the universe together, which you can say is God, or which you could say is the black matter, or whatever, which is really interesting.
We don't know.
You're right. Exactly. We don't know. The point is, though, is that if there is intelligent beings out there, which I believe there are, that are way more advanced than we are because of how long they've been around, that eventually we're going to come in contact with them. They've been waiting for us to get to certain
they're going to come in contact with us.
And it is, and that's why.
Your little old AR-15, your little old F-18, your little old aircraft carrier ain't gonna do nothing. Okay.
Well, but I don't think that I love the analogy of like we're the anthill on the side of the highway. They're not going to give us any attention unless we're actually worth the attention. But that goes back to what I mentioned going into the break was that maybe. Look, I think there are good ones and bad ones, and according to the rumor, there's a conspiracy theory out there that we have been in contact with good aliens that have warned us we need to step up our technological advances here really quickly because there are hostile ones on the way, and that we need to help out the good ones protecting us when they actually arrive. So maybe this is the hostile one arriving, and we need to step up our game in order to be prepared for this. I don't know, but it's interesting to think about.
Buy 2 more AR-15s, ladies and gentlemen. You might need them.
You might need them. Okay. You never know. It's going to be War of the Worlds here soon.
Okay. Well, I hope not, because we will lose. Okay. It's that simple.
Yeah, if that happens, I mean, you just sit back and just watch it because there's nothing you can do about it. So.
Oh, it's like watching a huge tornado come at you. You're getting in your basement, ain't going to fix it. It's coming. If it's your time, it's your time. But I don't want to be eaten by any giant mantis things that have traveled billions of years and know billions more things.
Actually, the mantises are 8th dimensional happy beings that actually protect us.
I should have never said anything correctly. Andy, it's so fun to talk with you about this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, what does it have to do with your guns? Arguably nothing, but it is really fun to talk with Andy about this stuff because apparently he knows all the species that are out there. I don't know.
I still have my almanac, man. There's hundreds of them.
It's just too funny. All right, so let's get into some different. There's a piece out in Detroit News, which I thought was great because you never get to see this stuff back to guns, ladies and gentlemen. Jankovic is Marcy Jankovic wrote a piece called Walmart Stabbings Show Flaw in Gun Control Logic, coming from the Detroit News. And the Detroit News, guys, a publication that's been around since 1873, okay? And this Marcy Jankovic, who I am unfamiliar with.
Is she related to Nina Jankovic?
I don't know anything about any Jankovic. I have no idea.
What's the likelihood?
I'm sure there's
Jankovic
a lot of Jankovic's
being a popular name.
Yeah, I don't know. However, you just take me off my game. Moving on. Let's go back to Marcy Jankovic. That's her name. I guess Marcy's a female name. I used to date somebody named Marcy, but I guess it could be a guy's name too. I don't know. But this Marcy Jankovic brought up the points that we talk about all the time, the flawed logic in gun control. Listeners, can you understand where that flawed logic comes from just by hearing a headline like that? Walmart stabbing show flaw in gun control logic. Why? The attempted murderer who wounded 11 people with a knife did not use a gun. So how does that show a flaw in gun control logic? Well, it shows a huge flaw in gun control logic for the same things the reasons we talk about here. I'll take this to the break, and we'll come back and open up the discussion with Andy, and I'm sure Greg can jump in whenever he wants to because, he's controlling the boards. He can jump in and cut all of us off and run the show himself if he wants to. But you don't hear anybody calling for knife control. No one. You don't hear the left screaming about knife control. You don't hear about new background checks for blades. You don't hear about any of that. Why when it's a gun? And this is part of the quote-unquote flawed logic of gun control that Marcy Jankovic is talking about. We'll talk a little bit about that with Andy when we come back. And then we're going to go to the NFL. NFL is now suggesting, maybe they do want good guys with guns at the stadiums. Maybe they're admitting that. I guess a memo went around. We'll expose that when we come back. More with Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. 2 more segments. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Monday. It's a fun day. It's going to fly right by. We'll be right back.
following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, welcome back to the show. Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom. All of this show, every single day, 6 days a week, is being brought to you by the great National Rifle Association, 150 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in our fight. When we talk about what we're getting ready to talk about here, it's the National Rifle Association that's at the front of all of this and has been for 150 years. Yeah, we lived through a goofy few years with Wayne LaPierre and a bunch of cronies. They are gone. This is a brand new National Rifle Association, and the National Rifle Association needs to get back to where it was from a membership standpoint, okay? I've still got the range bags I'm going to send you if you join. 1 to 3 years gets you a free range bag. 5 years to a lifetime membership. Either of those two options get you the pair of binoculars, 10x42, super high quality with the lens covers and the case and everything else. All you've got to do is join. If you don't want to donate anything else after that, you don't have to. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to join. Please do so. It's only for 1 year. It's $35 for a membership, and we're going to pretty much cover that with the range bag for you right out of the box. Plus, you're going to get some other cool stuff as well. And it's easy to do. NRA.org/AAR. And in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about the health of, or maybe the lack of health, of the firearms industry right now, and even more reason why we need to be supporting the National Rifle Association and all of our states' rights groups as well. We'll tie that all together. But please help us here. We need these numbers up. It is NRA.org/AAR. And we thank all of our great partners, including the National Rifle Association, of course, as the main presenting partner with us here on Armed American Radio. Please, please support us. You support them, you support us, vice versa. We scratch each other's backs. That's how it works. Welcome back, guys. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, jump back in with me, brother.
Yeah, buddy. Good stuff.
All right, so Marcy Jankovic, by the way, I just found out, is the Michigan State Director for Women for Gun Rights. And I was hanging out with some of the Women for Gun Rights on Saturday evening at the embassy. Some great people doing some amazing work. Okay, we all know that to be the case. We've heard them. We've had Diana Muller and others on the program for years. So Marcy gets it, and boy, I got to tell you, very articulate here when she says it. So I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. Last weekend, a man walked into Walmart in Traverse City, stabbed 11 innocent people in a random, brutal act of violence. The scene was horrifying, but thankfully, everyone survived. That's remarkable in and of itself, folks. The media covered the initial shock. The politicians issued generic statements, but something's missing. Something that always seems to go missing when the narrative doesn't fit. No one is talking about knife control. Why is that? A knife was used to commit mass violence, just as we've seen before with hammers, axes, and even cars. These are real tragedies carried out without a single bullet fired, and yet no one is proposing sweeping legislation to regulate or ban knives or to require background checks before buying a truck, for example, because deep down we all know the glaring truth. It's not the object that commits the violence, it's the person. But the moment a firearm is involved, the story changes. The headlines explode. Politicians scramble to propose more restrictions, and the blame shifts from the criminal to the tool that they use. This double standard isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. It distracts from real solutions, and it deliberately ignores the fact that in Traverse City, a law-abiding citizen with a firearm stopped the attack before more people were stabbed. When police arrived at the scene, the alleged attacker, as you know, folks, had already been restrained, quoting, held at gunpoint by a shopper. That's right, a proverbial good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a knife. It's textbook self-defense and the outcome we hope for in moments of crisis. Andy, well said. And we've talked about this almost ad nauseum for years, but it bears repeating every single time. And it's good to see the Detroit News put this piece up from Marcy Jankovic that tells the truth. Isn't it refreshing, Andy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is refreshing. I mean, look at the narrative that we just saw completely demolished. They try to get rid of firearms. We have a good guy with a firearm. And look, if they say, oh, we're never going to come after knives, we're never going to come after other types of quote unquote weapons, vehicles, knives, whatever. I mean, you know just as well, Mark, over in the UK, they're literally advocating for the banning of knives because when they banned firearms in London and in England, all around the country, then they saw a massive increase in people getting stabbed with knives. So, of course, they're going after swords and they're going after knives and all this other stuff. You know, the weapon of war, which I guess is, you know, a big saber sword now or something. I don't know. So they're going after that. Of course, they're going to go after those. So in this situation, it's really refreshing to see that a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a knife, showing two things: that the gun can actually be in a good situation, and that bad guys use other things other than just guns. When they can't get their hands on a firearm, they go for something else, and it completely destroys every type of narrative that's out there from the left, saying that we need to ban weapons of war and that we need to go after guns and that no one would use any other type of weapon because it would make it less disastrous for them if they tried to do it. It's the brilliant story, and I'm glad that we're finally talking about it.
I'm glad this is getting some media attention where it normally does not. Now, the Detroit Free Press is not ABC or NBC, so we can CBS or MSDNC or CNN LOL or even Fox News, who failed to report it on their website for days that a good guy stopped this person in Michigan. They were finally forced to do that because that's what happened. And for the life of me, I'll never understand why a news organization that calls itself a news organization wouldn't just report that, because that's what happened. That's what their job is. Their job is not to say, well, that doesn't fit our narrative. A guy with a gun. In fact, that's what makes it such a phenomenal human interest story above and beyond anything else, is that a good guy did stop it with a gun. But they don't show us that narrative because in their minds, it creates a different narrative for them that they don't like, and that is that, wow, guns can do great things. And as Marcy points out, yet every time a tragedy occurs, the focus shifts not to the failures of intervention. I mean, what she's talking about there is we always seem shocked, but we're not, to find out that this is not an isolated occurrence when these people do what they do. Over and over, we've seen, I'm quoting now from Detroit News from Marcy's piece, over and over, we've seen mass casualty events carried out by individuals who were already on law enforcement's radar. The signs were there. The threats had been made. Reports were filed, but the system didn't act. And then what do? As she points out, the focus shifts, not to the failures of intervention, but to restricting the rights of law-abiding citizens. Group like Moms Demand Action, anti-gun politicians pushing for red flag laws, assault weapons bans, and magazine limits, as if taking tools away from the responsible somehow stop the reckless and violent. It won't. And this is where Traverse City, she points out so eloquently, points out the flaw in that logic, because the attacker didn't use a gun. He used a knife. So show me where a red flag law would have prevented it. Would a gun ban have saved those people? Of course not. The answer isn't to criminalize gun ownership. It's to crack down on actual criminals taking real threats seriously and enforce the laws we already have against people who have proven themselves violent and dangerous. And, there's a lot of gun lovers in the state of Michigan, Andy. And you've got a governor that's, what do? The knee-jerk reaction to gun control. I believe the nation is getting past this. I think we're beginning to see the battleship turn. Are we not? It's encouraging to see this stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've seen it for a long time, I think. I mean, and you've talked about it quite a bit on your show. Every time there's a shooting in a community, what's always the response from members of that community? I never thought it would happen to me. I never thought it would happen in this community. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can't happen here. I never thought that person would be the one that would do something like that. And while the national narrative from the media, from the Democrats, continues to then be, oh, we need to go after the gun, we need more regulation, we need more control, we need more oversight, that local community, what they don't tell you is that we see a massive increase in people purchasing firearms in those local communities, because they say, wow, I didn't think it would happen to me. Now I need to be prepared. And it's happened so frequently over the past, let's say, decade or so, couple decades, that the same talking point from the other side. Look, I mean, not just guns, on taxes, on government regulation, on everything. The Democrats really need to start updating their talking points, because it's not working any longer. It used to work for a long time, which is why they're so used to just regurgitating the same thing over. But it's not any longer. They have to update their talking points, because they can scream about gun regulation all they want to now. Gun shootings and shooting incidences have happened in so many communities around the nation for so many years now that everybody is aware, and that we see massive increase in people getting concealed carry, purchasing firearms, getting trained up on self-defense, because they realize that it's no longer a safe nation any longer, no longer safe communities anymore, and that they're going to take that matter into their own hands.
Yeah, and when we come back, we're going to use this opportunity to rag on that idiot, Chris Murphy out of Connecticut. Wait till you see.
Funny.
Well, you won't see it. You'll hear it from me. His post on X again today. This guy's out there putting himself out, making a fool of himself, clown posse leader all day long, every day on X. We'll expose his, we'll call it idiocy right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Welcome back. If you are watching the show, I am holding up my Attorneys on Retainer card. And I had Andy Markentel from Attorneys on Retainer he was the longest interview for a reason at the GOA, because it's so fun to talk to the lawyers. And boy, they got something going on with that Kayla Giles case. I cannot wait to bring that to you. It will be next month. But the developments there are unlike anything I have seen in 20 plus years of doing this, writing or talking about it for 17 years on the airwaves and writing about it for well over 20 plus years. It is remarkable, and Attorneys on Retainer is right in the middle of it. And I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to want to miss it. But these guys are the real deal. All right, the days of having to wait for something to happen or be charged to get a lawyer that's going to cost you everything in your life are over. $35 a month. All you've got to do is visit attorneysonretainer.us. If you missed the interview with Andy yesterday, one of the partners, Mark and Andy are the partners over there that founded Attorneys for Freedom, the law group that runs attorneysonretainer.us. Please go listen to the show from yesterday. Go listen to yesterday's podcast. We did 2 segments with him. That was the 22-minute interview I was telling you about breaking up. I could keep him on for hours and hours and hours when they talk about what happens in a self-defense incident. Guys, for $35, let me put it in perspective for you. He made it clear, Greg and Andy, jump back in here with me, because the attorney made it clear, his hourly rate on other work inside the self-defense field is $550 an hour. $35 a month times 10 months is $350. You're spending less when you add the other 2 months, the additional $70 on top of the $350. You're spending less to have an attorney if you need them for a solid year than you would for 1 hour of his time if you had to seek that attorney, that outside counsel, because you didn't have this program. That is unbelievable when you put it in that perspective. So please do yourself a favor if you carry a firearm. Do like I did, do like all of my family members did, and have this card in your wallet. If you ever need it, God forbid, this is what keeps you out of the slammer, and may even keep you from being charged, because you'll have an attorney and attorney-client privilege throughout any investigation. It's simple to do, attorneysonretainer.us. Please take advantage of this, attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. You will get $50 off the sign-up, which is normally $100, and it's $35 a month to have a self-defense attorney and an entire team that specializes in nothing but self-defense in your back pocket. Do not slap yourself in the head and think, man, oh man, I should have done that, because at that point, it's too late. Think about that when you break down those hourly rates like I was just telling you about. Guys, welcome back. Let's go to Chris Murphy real fast. This guy, just incredulous. Talking about D.C. crime. I watched Trump's press conference today, and unfortunately, it wasn't on in time when I was talking with Cam. That's what we wanted to talk about on Cam and Company today, but he hadn't gone live yet. There was a delay. But take a listen to what Chris Murphy tweeted out. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. Let's be totally clear. Trump's decision to take over the D.C. police isn't about public safety. The most violent cities are in Republican states, and there's no takeover happening there. Just another attempt to distract from Trump's corruption. Are you kidding me? Every single one of the cities in red states that he's talking about, including blue states, are all Democrat-run. Every single one of them.
No distraction there, right?
My God.
It seems like they're distracting from all the wins that Trump has.
It is just one gaslighting lie from this windbag all day long. Now, let me be clear to Chris Murphy. Hundreds of comments pointed that out, not just mine, in response to this windbag, just box of misinformation and lies that this guy is every single day, failing to point out that the cities he's referring to are all run by his party for decades. And the top 10 cities in red states where the top crime occurs are all Democrat run, Andy. Well, come on, man. Does he think we're stupid?
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
They think we're stupid and that we don't see this. They don't see that every Democrat blue-run city in this nation has ridiculous, out-of-control crime rates right now, which, Mark, I mean, if you're paying massive amounts of taxes because they also like to tax the hell out of you, and then when you actually need a service like, I don't know, having safe streets to where you can walk around in Chicago or in where was it where the couple ended up getting assaulted outside of the jazz club when they were walking out.
Sounds like it could happen. Name any Democrat city that happens in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you pay for the services that includes law enforcement to make sure the streets are clean and that people are taken care of and that we're safe in these communities. And we have some of the worst crime rates in Chicago, in New York, in LA, in San Francisco, in Washington, D.C. And enough's enough. Look, I don't like the idea of the government consuming more power and control and oversight over communities. But at the same time, Washington, D.C. is one of those unique situations where they are one of the worst in the entire nation. And it's time for us to finally say, we're going to send in National Guard. We're going to clean up these streets. We're going to get rid of the homelessness. And we're going to take care of this because obviously you guys can't handle it yourselves. And your Democrat policies have been ruining it for years.
Well said. Guys, watch what happens in D.C. I did finally watch the press conference when I got off Cam and Company taping today. And Trump just laid it out. Not only that, he had the largest group. He said that, and Carolyn Levitt backed him up on this, that it was the largest, most filled, packed press conference that they'd ever had in that room. And Trump was just going back and forth, having a great time with the media, and it was really, really fun to watch him work that crowd. They can say they hate him all they want, but they sure love talking with him, and he's got them just eating out of his hand. So it was fun to watch. Watch what happens in D.C., and he also threatened New York and Chicago to do the same thing. Now, he might not be as easy as the federal district, which he can easily do, and he's already done. He's already taken over the police force. Watch what happens in Washington, D.C., folks, and Trump's going to make them look stupid again. I got to move quickly. I want to talk. The NFL is now, Andy, I don't know if you know this or not. I just saw this recently. AWR was writing about it. But now the NFL is seeking good guys with guns to protect people in stadiums. I don't know if the threat assessment levels have increased or not. But now they're talking about magnetometers and everything else and adding more law enforcement to keep their stadium safe. So I guess they're admitting without saying it that more good guys with guns actually is a deterrent. I'll leave that alone and then go to the health of the firearms industry. Andy, we've only got about a minute, but it is not encouraging what I've seen. We're talking about people buying guns. Those numbers are down drastically. And the next 6 months are going to be the real tale of the tape, buddy, when we start taking a look at if these numbers stay depressed.
Sure.
About 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, look, Barack Obama was the greatest salesman of guns because when things were bad, people wanted to buy firearms. Right now, we're starting to feel a sense of comfort again and security in the fact that just like D.C., Donald Trump is not taking any more crap, and we're sending in federal agents if we have to. We are federalizing D.C. We're holding the feet to the fire of local communities and cities around the country, withholding their federal funding unless we say, hey, you need to actually provide the services that you promised that you would do with that taxpayer money. And now that they're starting to do that, people are starting to feel more comfortable. Like, hey, I really don't need to go out and get a whole bunch of firearms because I might actually not have to worry about a bunch of crime in my communities.
Yeah, you better believe it. Andy, where can people listen to you in just a couple minutes?
Oh, man, HoosierReason.com. We're going to have some fun, Mark. It's Liberation Day. We will talk about that in Washington, D.C. with the federalizing there. Also, the upcoming chat with Vladimir Putin in Russia on Friday. So there's plenty to talk about. And I always love chatting with you on a Monday, Mark. We love you, brother.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
We just keep on kicking ass.
You better believe it. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. Thank you. I want to give a special shout out to Tara and Sophia, a couple of University of Tennessee PhD grad students who I spent some time with on Saturday evening and just talked to them for a number of hours. It was fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, the younger generation is not lost. These girls were up on gun rights and made it very clear to me that the vast majority of their friends are as well. So it's not a lost cause. I had fantastic conversation with both of you young ladies. It was wonderful meeting you and great talking with you. There's your shout out. Armed American Radio is going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Enjoy the rest of your day. I love you guys. See you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, there's your Monday. Wrap it up. This week is going to fly by, I think. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling that this week is going to move right along. And we're going to have, it's kind of slow out there. You heard me talking a little bit about the health of the firearm industry. I'm going to focus on that a little bit throughout the week in the lineup. But we have some great guests coming up over the course of the next week. We're going to be hearing from Tim at 2A Bourbon, who I wished I did not have the opportunity to interview because everybody was so busy on Saturday. But you'll be hearing from some new voices, and we appreciate it very much, you guys here. Please, guys, support all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com or .org. We've got them both covered for you. Support them all. We couldn't do this without them. And it's tough out there in the firearms industry right now. We need your support. They need your support. And the industry as a whole needs our support right now. Please join the National Rifle Association. Take advantage of the discount with AAR. Get the range bags. Let us send them to you. Get the binoculars. Getting free stuff that actually pays for that is really cool. On top of that, and you're covered. And for crying out loud, if you carry a gun, please have this card in your wallet. You do not want to be the one who doesn't if it ever hits the fan, folks. I can promise you that. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. Love you guys. See you tomorrow on the radio. Have a great day and stay safe. Thanks for tuning in.